We are live.
Greetings, welcome, salam alaikum. Welcome to another Uncommon Dialogue, celebrating the eternal from the Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri Foundation. I would like to say that Shaykh Fadhlalla needs no introduction, and if you have been subscribing and viewing the broadcasts on this channel, then indeed he doesn't. But in case this is the first time that you are joining us, Shaykh Fadhlalla has, over the last 40 years, devoted his energies and life's work towards absorbing and teaching the transformative wisdom of the devotional teachings of Islam, known as Tasawwuf or Irfan. His talks and books reflect his mastery of the science of Tasawwuf and how it can be embodied by anyone, anywhere, without denying existential needs and realities, but also by foregrounding the essential metaphysical matters, such as the relationship between the lower self and the higher self, and the unifying fabric that sustains life in and around us. Around 40 titles of his books are available in different formats, so do please check out the SFH Foundation website and also zahrapublications.pub. Today, Hajj Mustafa Ali joins him in an uncommon dialogue about celebrating the eternal. Hajj Mustafa was born in New York of Jewish heritage and then raised from the age of 10 in LA, California. From an early age, he was led to spend time with many different spiritual teachers of different paths, such as the Fourth Way, Zen Buddhism, and pathways in the esoteric aspects of both Christianity and Judaism. And he was taught by teachers from the Vajrayana Tibetan school of Buddhism, as well as Kalu Rinpoche and Lama Kunga, and even the late Swami Muktananda. In the late 70s, he met a Sufi sheikh from the West Bank of Palestine, Sheikh Murshid Hassan al-Mu'mani, who initiated him in the Sufi path of the Rifa'i order, and this led him to embrace Islam. In the following years, he became a student of Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri and has since traveled throughout the world, living abroad, learning, teaching, and helping communities of seekers in Canada, America, Pakistan, and South Africa. And his experiences with realized beings of the age are truly remarkable, and he's been working on a narrative account of these experiences, soon to be published one day soon. He joins us today from Durham, North Carolina in America. Welcome.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. So the idea of celebrating the eternal might seem on the face of it somewhat out of time, if not out of place. I am speaking to you from South Africa, which in some areas has endured 2 very difficult weeks, to put it mildly. Climate change-related disasters reveal to us the cost of fulfilling the rapacious needs of our desires, and we are all deep into the 2nd year of our global pandemic, and I'm sure many of us have been racking our brains and hearts trying to make sense of what is going on. What does this pandemic mean, both to us individually as well as to us as societies? As the campaigns to vaccinate us are underway, we may wonder, what is there to celebrate in the face of the suffering and loss engendered by this and other disasters? Yet we know that Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, that He encompasses whatever is in the heavens and the earth. And we as Muslims believe, we know that Allah was, is, and will be. We do not start from a position of doubt on this. So I wish to put questions related to this to these dear souls here today. What does celebrating the eternal mean in our context? If the eternal is the underlying reality of our lives, then what does that mean? And how do we access that sense of the eternal? Hajj Mustafa?
Bismillah. If you're going to say celebrating the eternal, then that means that you are acknowledging the foreverness within you, that you're acknowledging in the moment a reality which you and your existence is predicated upon. That in itself is the only real celebration that one can have. It is the real thrill that is allowed, so to speak, that you recognize that reality in the moment, at every moment. You then, from that, understand that that eternal reality came in, it created this entire creation based, the beautiful riwayah of Kanzul Makhfiya, that I was a treasure hidden, wanting to be known, loving and wanting to be known. So I manifested this creation to be known. You begin to see and understand by your experience in the moment that that initial so-called intention permeates all of experience, no matter what it is. That everything from that so-called moment of the burst of that reality is stamped with an intention. And that intention is to be known, to be understood. And that is what can bring true contentment and thrill and celebration in one's life. Otherwise, all the things that you just mentioned cannot manifest in any positive way whatsoever unless that is first understood and addressed. There is a purpose in one's life. There is a reason for our existence. Throughout the world today, I think it is a mercy, a goodness in a way that all these things are happening, because this is pointing people to question, how is this happening? Why am I suffering? Why is the world in the condition that it's in? I think these are all things that are now urging the evolution of humanity. Shaykh Fadhlalla mentioned many things like this recently, where he says that we're living in a time in which it's unprecedented, the collective consciousness of people around the world about human rights and these type of universal realities. This is new. The internet is again sort of a way, a sign, an intervention of that reality, of the pervasiveness of that access to that. There's something going on that is beyond what we limit in our understanding. So that is what is worth celebrating. It's the only thing that's worth celebrating. And this is what we celebrate in the eternal.
Shaykh Fadhlalla, it sounds simple and it sounds true, but often many of us find it impossible to bring that to the forefront of our consciousness. So what are we missing? What are we not doing that is not putting this on the horizon of our immediate vision?
Silence. That's what's missing. Too much noise, too much talk, too much confusion, too much analysis, too much head, too much trouble.
Allah.
If you don't recalibrate with the origin, which is perfect silence, perfect peace, boundless, eternal, you don't calibrate with that all the time, you end up collectively 8 billion people running around making more noise. That's what it is. It is part of the original design. If you're not acknowledging that boundlessness, that eternalness, then everything else ends up being messy, difficult, confusing, and as we all experience, suffering. It's natural. You can't improve on that perfection.
Yeah.
All of it is action, action, action. I did this, he did that, I didn't. And what about inaction? Has to be balanced with that. What about entering into that zone of total, utter sukoon, to witness, to witness, to witness. And then whatever is allotted to you, if at all, to act, you are taking that mantle of that role as a role player by the author of it all, then it's fine. Otherwise, most of the time people regret what they did or what they did not, because they were not taking reference from that authority. Our education is faulty, our upbringing is faulty. It's all about acquisition. All of that is my benefit, my benefit. But who is the my? The real you is an eternal light, caught in space and time for a short while, in the multidimensionality of conditioned consciousness. And if you don't wake up to that origin and take reference and be in reverence of it, then you end up like everybody else as they are. And it may end up being a very severe self-destruct or extinction even. We can never tell. We have been given the light of God in our heart, and if we don't refer to it with the appropriate courtesy, many people think they are God. They can change this, change that, do social engineering, do this engineering, change the Earth topography, send hundreds, if not thousands, of satellites up in the air, create the biggest pollution around the Earth with objects floating like anything. It's all expression of unhappiness. We want to get somewhere else, so we pollute it as bad as we have done on this Earth. Really have to laugh at the ludicrousness of this entity, which had been given a great divine opportunity, but squandered it to the point where it's almost extinguishing life. Life is eternal. Life is to be worshipped. Life is obsessed, everyone obsessed with it. Look at the little bird just now. Once it realizes there are other people watching it and they may be predators, it runs away with life, saving life, keep life going. Do we do that as human beings? Keep life going? Look what we do. Look at the meat industry. Look at the pollution. Look, what are we doing? So the mess, the poison, the miseries are natural outcome of an unnatural conduct with no referencing. That's it. Simple.
Well, then, I mean, the idea of transcending things and connecting and sort of calibrating through silence, how does it make it possible for us then, when we turn our face back to creation, to be more present and in the moment? I mean, is that enough? I mean, is our ibadah not supposed to do this for us? And yet, perhaps it's not for many of us. We feel the need to do more. We're not getting enough out of our prayers. What's missing in the package?
I mean, what else? What else do you have? There, you can only respond to what is in front of you. And I'm not saying that you can't make intentions or be part of improving the world or in getting involved in the making people aware of what we're doing to the environment. All these things are, yes, they're all you can do. But on an individual level, all you can really do is do what's in front of you. You know, some time back we were talking about the freedom of no choice. What is that? In essence, it means that there's only one thing that you can do, which when you refer to the light within you, to the soul within you, then you act with that referencing. Maybe you will make a mistake. Maybe that, as it comes through to your mind and it becomes mixed with your own desires and minutiae of your head, then yeah, you may, but little by little, you then get a taste for it. And you start referring more and more to it until you are harmonizing with what is in front of you, so to speak. And then whatever then Allah puts in front of you, that is what you are, in a way, it's written for you to do. And you do it. And you don't know the outcome. There are so many times that as you live in life, you begin to see that maybe you met someone, or you were part of a group that had a certain aim, or something similar to that. And then you didn't see any result from it in the immediate moment. Then years later, or whatever it is, you meet that person, or you see the result of that little seed, or whatever it was that you interacted with. We don't know. We don't know the dynamic that of the incredible forces and dynamics that are in every single moment of our lives. It's a mystery to try to put any of it together. It's impossible. So what we're left with is little of knowledge. We've been given little, is the prophetic saying. It's so that we behave and respond with that reference from within to the moment, and tawakkul ala Allah, to trust that that is the best that we can do. All these other ideas of saving the world and so on, it's not. I don't believe that's not how it works. Save yourself. And if you save yourself, you save the world, because you're doing your best in the moment and participating with what you are commanded to do, is to awaken and to see the yad Allah, the hand of God, in everything that you're doing. That's all you can do.
So I'm getting a sense that the moment is like a portal to the eternal. That if you can be fully present, inhabiting the moment, you're touching on eternity. Is that right?
Eternity is already present. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just trying to keep it going.
Shaykh Fadhlalla.
I'm knocking somewhere. I'm not quite sure where it's coming from.
It's a construct. If you just give me a moment, I'll tell them to be quiet. It's a construction thing going on in the.
Okay, Shaykh Fadhlalla, you have to.
Right,
is it right to characterize the moment as being the portal to the eternal? Is that how we contact? Is that how we are put in touch with Kan Allah wa Baqillah?
Because very simple. Life is eternal. Its nature is boundless, not subject to any limitations. This is supreme cosmic consciousness, manifesting as life. Then something happened some billions of years ago that it became also local, conditioned consciousness within space and time. And then it was internalized, individuated, and the occurrence of awareness of that life within an identity, not just a reality, within an identity. So it becomes my life. It's a mistake, but it's a good mistake. So it becomes my life with a beginning and an end, with birth and death. And I try to preserve it because I'm obsessed with it, my life. So with maturity, reflection, a bit of patience and silence, you discover it's not your life. You belong to it. You've got it the other way around. There is only that life, and that life is forever. And your consciousness, your personal consciousness, emanates from that light, which the Quran and the Abrahamic traditions often refer to it as a pen. That pen writes, and the ink with which it writes are the different senses that gives it that illusion of permanency on the parchment within space and time. So that so-called your life, your consciousness, is inseparable from that which is permanent. But because I've identified myself biologically, physiologically, I've given it that waham and value. And so I'm all the time thinking in terms of years to come or years not to come. So I try to tailor-make my biography within those limitations. It's only a biography. Reality itself is forever. My life has emanated from that reality, returning back to that reality. If I reorientate myself towards the appropriate, that connectedness, then I have no fear of death. The biggest issue is death. Everybody knows they are dying and nobody wants to address it. Because if you address it purely as a human, then you get fear, 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 and more fear. If you address it with the light of higher consciousness, then you know life is forever. Where did you get your life from? From that pool of forever. For how long? According to the biological entropic type of laws. But life is forever. So consciousness is forever. Your consciousness is therefore not from within limited space and time. Appears, acts, responds within space and time. But its nature is boundless. So you are liberated from this total identity with the biological entity with birth and death. Without denying that, that side remains. There is a physical reality that's left behind and with a memory or whatever. But it's only there because of this mysterious energy, which is beyond the mind to comprehend, is part of an enormous, vast spectrum of lights and energies which there are in the universe. So we are this tiny little speck emerged in order to realize its origin being cosmic, its destiny is cosmic. And for it to realize the magnificence of all of this, it needs to be given this limited reflectiveness, interactiveness. That's all. We are here to act with the appropriate referencing, with the appropriate license, with the appropriate courtesy from the source in which it was given. If you don't do that, you end up like all of us now in this tiny little earth of ours, twirling around itself, around in a solar system, as part of millions and billions of other systems. And we created so much noise. And we have ruined the earth. Now we're trying to get out of it somewhere else to ruin also. It's relentless. It's multiple criminality. But nobody stops because development, progress, more is better. Why more is better? Why not less is better? Everybody talks about freedom. Freedom is less. No, it is to do with the basic intelligence for survival, the animal intelligence, physical intelligence, chemical intelligence, and moves on to a higher level of intelligence, social, emotional, ultimately to spiritual intelligence. Intelligence means that medium that connects what is known or knowable to that which is unknowable. So you need spiritual intelligence to survive. And certainly is the only intelligence you really need to arrive. Arriving at what? That which already is there. But you're somewhere else in your mind and yours. That's all. Everything is there already. You don't need to get there. It has got you. You just have to accept, submit, and according to the level of your evolvement and development, in age and in wisdom and in awareness, ultimately is the extent of your ability to be in silence, the frequency of your silence, the quality of your silence. And then all is fine. The duality, all of the animosities, all of the warfare is perfect. Because everybody wants the same thing. Now, I thought you were closer to God, and I thought I was closer to God. Therefore, I'm going to kill you because I want to be the only one closest to God. And on and on. So my religion is best. My prophet is the best, so I'm going to kill him. On and on and on. It is that innate desire to be at one with the source of cosmic oneness. There is only that source of cosmic oneness in terms of anything that is durable. That's it. So Enjoy this duality. Enjoy plurality. Don't get caught in it. Don't get obsessed by it. Remain in utter obsession with the cosmic oneness, which is your source, your cause, and your destiny. Finish, that's it. So I can see Hajj Mustafa smiling in his heart because he could have said the same thing. He's singing the same song. That's That's really all what it is.
Shaykh Fadhlalla, can we look at a different topic? Same topic, but a different perspective, or an unpacked perspective. Creation. We understand today, we recognize that there was a moment when there was nothing, no thing, and that something mysterious stirred in that pre-existence, that from it an effulgence of what we call creation occurred. And in that effulgence, it appears that every single atom, every single particle, every single form is stamped with a communication, so to speak, to anyone who awakens and begins to witness the creation, that it's of the nature of that pre-existence, of the nature of the God, so to speak, of Allah, of the, however you want to call it. And that is stamped in everything and in everyone. Can you talk a little bit about that reality?
I will not enter into that debate, which has been time immemorial, of the creator and the created and who created the creator. I will simply share with you another peephole, simple, and that is based on consciousness. Consciousness is like a falcon sun, you can't see it. You need a bit of a shadow, and that's conditioned consciousness. And that's what happened and occurred. And for that, you need all the outer senses, the eye and the smell and the touch, and the inner senses also, the illusions that we have. The main inner sense is a veil which enables us to see approximately. It looked like that, see it like that. And then with it comes the other inner sense, values. I give more value to this than the other. You can take this jewel, but not the other one. You can take this. And then there is the memory, which the circuits repeat and becomes solid, becomes real. I can't live without the cat. I can't live with, etc., etc. And then there is also the other creative projection possibilities of looking at the future. What happened next year? I am dependent on A, B, C, D, but it looks as though there won't be those next year because of this letter. So these are the 5 inner senses, 5 outer senses, which bring about conditioned consciousness. And that's what you call creation occurred. I say conditioned consciousness occurred, meaning a hazy, a veiled type of ability to glare at the sun enabled us to do that. So my conditioned consciousness brings about my identity. Without that, I will not be able to, through intelligence, step aside into recognizing the true timelessness and the nature of eternity in my own heart. So the Abrahamic traditions, they all share this in that Adam was in the garden, in paradise, and whatever, which is eternal. But he didn't know the nature of eternity, permanency. So again, this theater of Shaitan whispered in his ear, say, what about eternity? You need to know what is that tree that is everlasting. So the Adamic consciousness was in a state of eternity, paradise. But this idea occurred, what about eternity? So now it needed a mind to vacillate between temporary and eternal, good and bad, up and down. That is why then the voice of God says, no, for that you have to descend. I'm going to make you sink back into another zone, the earth. And that is the exile of Adam and all of the other, if you like, religious stories and so on, which are very helpful. So he was exiled into this, if you like, barren earth before it was made into green, before it is about to be blown up by all of us anyway. So it was an appropriate setup for duality to be nurtured. From the rock, suddenly life emerges as a plant and as this, and later on it flowers, and later on as other creatures come, birds, and each had their own kingdom, their own nation, and their own preferences, and on and on and on. There is a lot of interdependency. So it is the rise of conditioned consciousness. But I can't do that. The neighbors will not agree. Society will not agree. God may punish me. And on. There are thousands of different references that enables us to act a bit less, if you like, violently and selfishly as we do. So it's the rise of conditioned me. It takes years for the baby to become really the selfish human being that most of us are. So really, by the time he or she is in their late teens, me, I have to succeed, and I have to be number one. There's no use number two, not good enough, no, number one. So then you have become number one, then what? So no, I have other preferences. Then you start learning some other things, whether it's meditation, whether it is exploration, and on and on and on, until such time you're occasionally asked for good reasons to shut up, sit down. You can't walk. There's war. There are warriors outside. They'll cut you to pieces. Everywhere you look, there is a Genghis Khan and so on, or a virus. So be quiet. Now you have to learn the other side of the coin of action, perform. Don't act. Sit quiet. No movement. Stop the electrons in your head. Silence. Silence is the nature of the eternal, perfect origin from where everything arose. It isn't that creation suddenly occurred. Everything in creation was already there in potential. It was not manifesting. There isn't this immense vacuum. It is everything that we experience, all the senses, material, physical, chemical, sound, they're already there in potential. But they weren't the instruments, the receptions of the senses, such as the eye to catch the electrons and the photons, and the ear to catch all of the movement of sound waves. And the little hammer goes, tuk, 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 tuk. So I hear it. It's amazing. All of these were there. But my faculties were not there. My conditioned consciousness wasn't there. Pure cosmic consciousness was always there, will always be there. That's all what happened. So if you like, it was an opportunity of shades and shadows to enable us to catch glimpses of these immense lights, which we cannot fathom. There are countless ranges of these lights and radiations, boundless. The electromagnetic wave is only one stream. So, and the visible light within that, if it is a meter, then the electromagnetic wave is millions of miles. And this is just 1 meter. So there is infrared, ultraviolet. We have to put things in perspective. We are a tiny little entity with limited abilities of senses to evaluate a bit. In order for us to be ready to return to the zone of infinitude. So each one of us in origin, in real nature, is not subject to the limitation of space and time. That's why by nature, nobody wants to be limited in space and time. You know, everybody, once they have a bit of an opportunity now with the COVID and so on, we have a big party. The whole nation must be out in a party, make more noise and have another bout of the rise of the virus. There is no higher intelligence. It's just animal, very low, basic, social, whatever, sensory intelligence. The ultimate intelligence connects the animal, you and I, with the spirit or the soul in you and I. And that connection is all what there is. It isn't that you and I will just have to focus on it, then you'll be relieved from the fear of death, from the fear of deprivation, from the fear of loss. There is no such thing. In our worldly thing that God, in a way, in his wisdom, sent Adam, you and I, it is through not having that we realize the importance of having. It's through pain that you realize the magnificent gift of being able to maintain whatever there is of your hand or your senses. Or it's all perfect. We have not been taught. And religions serve their purpose magnificently for people who were not distracted as much as we are in the last few decades. The amount of distraction upon us is so immense that our spiritual nourishment is almost non-existent. And that's why we take more and more to silly alternatives of drugs and drinks and all kinds of, and travel and adventure. It's just, there are signs of our needs and desperation and misery. That's what it is.
No. That's what it is.
Celebrate. We have to celebrate that which is eternally true. And if we are to celebrate anything within the dimension of space and time, we have to do it as pointing towards that. So it's all right. We're allowed to fake it a bit. But otherwise, it ends up being complete fake, as it is now.
So, Shaykh Fadhlalla Haji Mustafa, how does celebrating the eternal manifest in your own lives? How is it for you, Shaykh Fadhlalla? How do you celebrate the eternal? How does that express itself? And after you, then Haji can also go.
In your question, even here it is. I'm celebrating the eternal because somebody's asking, what is the eternal? I look around, everything celebrates the eternal. The dust that is blowing occasionally from the wind also celebrating its nature. Gravity, it returns back. And the plant, and the water, and this. And my needs, that's eternal. I need to rest, need to, whatever. They're all celebrating for me to maintain life within its limitations on this earth within me. I'm a custodian. I'm obsessed with life. That I have to celebrate. And I have to celebrate the fact that I'm beginning to learn that my life is not mine, and actually I belong to eternal life, which had been conditioned to manifest as my life. Celebrate. All of it is worth celebrating. Even failure to celebrate is worth celebrating because it was an attempt that failed. So there's only celebration of truth. That's all. The rest are all fantasy. It's mind, mental. It's an illusion. It's a sickness. That's why everybody wants to be healed. Healed of what? You yourself have created it. You nurtured it. You have got used to it. It became habitual, and habit gives the illusion of continuity. Continuity gives the illusion of eternity. So we are here, illusion within illusion within illusion.
MashaAllah. Yeah. I mean, what one celebrated when one is a child is not the same when one grows into an adult. There's a process that takes place, a maturing and an evolving process, not just maturing in age, but evolving, so spiritually, so to speak, where you begin to see a pattern forming in one's life, that your expectations over your ability to fulfill those expectations, what is the outcome of such a thing? And you begin to understand that you are not that you are subject to those desires and so on, and there's a price to pay for all that. So after a while, you begin to see the world and your own life in a different way. Shaykh Fadhlalla mentioned that he's celebrating the fact that that we all have to die, that he will die, that I will die. That, I think, is one of the biggest celebrations that one can realize and have. Because you know that you're not in charge. And when you know that you're not in charge and you're not managing any affairs whatsoever, the world, even your own self, and to a certain degree, you have a little bit that you can do, but mostly that you cannot, then it frees you. What I mean by frees you is that you can witness that life itself is going on. Take yourself out of the equation for a moment. I'll just want to share something that happened to me some years back, which was sort of the beginning of this resonance with this celebratory reality. Is I was just literally walking from one room to another in my home, and all of a sudden I wasn't identified, or I just saw myself as though I'm hovering above my body, seeing this person walking from one place to the other. And I realized at that moment that's going to happen, whether it's called me or not. That life itself goes on with you or without you. You are. I'm sorry, I hear the echo going on. You are a participant in that reality. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I think that I'm hearing an echo. But anyway, that's the point I'm trying to put across here, is that you celebrate that you have no power and no strength, except very little. And when you see that, you let go of the management of managing your affairs, although you do manage your affairs, but to some degree. But you know that you're not the doer. That's something way beyond you, that encompasses you, that you're predicated upon, that is within you, so to speak, is the manager of your affair. And that's the true celebration.
SubhanAllah.
Within all religions, there are some key points that are often missed because they were interpreted as a normal language for everybody's use. In Quran also there are at least 40 or 50 such situations where we read it and it doesn't really go deep enough. I share with you one which relates to what, as Mustafa was saying, regarding management. It says Allah wants for you ease. It does not want for you difficulty. يريد بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم. And yet, you have everybody says, no, I'm going with, it's difficult. This is going against an illusion of your nafs. Go against it. But the issue of management of affairs or not, you have to flow with it. It is like the Zen flow. You enter into that zone of perfection upon perfection and no tangible effort from you. There is an effort, but it is not anymore that I am now working hard. So that reason, nobody wants to work. It's quite natural. Nobody wants to work because it's to an end, if you like, that is not agreeable. Working to produce more and more, tilling the land, the myth of Sisyphus, going up and down, up. It's boring, it's awful, it's a killer. You want to flow. You want to do things as though you were not in it. You were just a part witnesser. So you were assigned that role, if you like, by grace, and you flow with it. And when they asked also the great hero, or even Imam Ali's story of dislodging the gate of Khaybar, he said, I don't know what happened. It's no longer me. No, it happens. It happens. It happens. We stop it. We don't, because I want to have my biography. Flow with it. There's nothing happening. That itself is the counter side, the subtler side of happening. All the time, action, action. What about inaction? Why not have 1 month of complete inaction? What they are doing, I'm very busy with inaction. Really, you probably, if they hear somebody like this, they put him in an asylum. And he may be saved for a while from the tyranny of other creatures. We are out of balance at every level, because the real we is a divine light undertaking a short journey in matter, material, chemical, biological, and that's all. We have to be ready at any moment, cheerfully, to accept the fact that the air goes in, may not come out, finished. 3 minutes without it, you're brain dead. So at the moment, I see most people are like sleepwalkers, just autonomes. That's why more and more, of course, robotics will prevail. Why to have somebody to work like a robot and yet he or she has emotions, problems, needs? Have a robot, really. We're not honest. And also we have no courage to face it, that all these years I put up with it because I didn't want to have bad reputation, or what. That's the issue. Or the law will catch up, or whatever. Be honest. Let come what comes. Everybody's concerned about their privacy. Why privacy? Doesn't God see you? Isn't that enough for you to be aware that you're being seen, you're being known? All the cells know. Every cell within your body knows what you're doing or undoing or abusing. So who are you lying to? Now, that's why there is so much illness. That's why there is so much suppression of illness. There is no healing or curing. No, suppress it. Suppress it. That's it. That's why it's become a major, major industry. Brutality. That's who we are. And if we are to correct it, we have to see it for what it is, be horrified, cry, and then laugh, and then give up trying to organize the world according to what you think is the right. Everybody thinks the same thing. So 8 billion people. That's why every country is in upheaval, politically, economically, socially, in every other way. Wherever you look, take any of the countries in the world now, as it is today. No country is spared disasters. Most countries, if you really speak seriously to those who are supposed to be leaders, governors, representatives, they really will eventually tell you, we really don't know whatsoever. I think we are on the most critical state. Any minute, the whole thing can tumble. That's honest. So, more honesty, more courage, more real, and accepting duality. You are both a human being emerged from the animal side after billions of years, energized by a mysterious light, which we call divine or God. Or that's it. So enjoy the outer, enjoy the physical, enjoy the chemical, enjoy the rest, enjoy the silence. Enjoy being accepted, enjoy being rejected. Not easy, really, because that's a very special one. The soul or spirit is like a fire. It has to be invited. Fire needs a warm situation and a fodder for it to ignite. So it has to be invited. Oh, fire, come, come, come. It lit. Same thing as the manifested life on earth. It needs to be welcomed by the parents, by the neighbors, and they have some clothes, and so on. And these funny colors also. We changed it from after a period of time. Pink for the girl, blue for the boy. It was the reverse sometimes. So fire needs to be invited to come. Life to manifest need to be invited. It's vital, otherwise it won't occur. So it's a celebration also. It is a wonderment, but at all time we become obsessive. Then it becomes my child, my baby. Who are you to? At best, you are a custodian of your own soul. So it is the life of souls or spirits manifesting here, conditioned consciousness in a conditioned way, so that you are prepared to return, the so-called you meaning soul or spirit, to return back to the zone of the universe of spirits. And there are many, many, many others, all the angels that we don't know much about, and higher and higher. It's another zone. We are beginning. We're at the bottom of the ladder. All what we need is to behave, be courteous, be correct, be honest, and be in the moment. If you are in the moment, you are touching eternity. That's it. And we have metaphors, great metaphors, with the other four major substances: fire, light with it, and then air and water. Most amazing, magnificent substance. It's two gases being put together with light, with an arc. It becomes two hydrogen and one oxygen. And then the solids, they're all energies. For a short while have been frozen. Short while, just a blink, few million or billions of years. See things for what they are in terms of eternity. And then you'll be amazed. You don't want any more entertainment. You're gripped by the desire of inner attainment, not entertainment. Otherwise, it's waste, 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 waste. Distraction, distraction, distraction. That's why we are all being destroyed by our distraction. That's how it is. We have to read it. Read it with the help of a few others. It is necessary to have other friends who are trying to focus on the same thing, rather than their past and their, if you like, their value system. Put that down. Everybody must have a value system. But then you will never be witnessing perfection if you only see it through your value system. Yes, same. My value system was not happy with what happened. Great. Put that hat down, put that mind down, and then look at it clearly for what it is. Of course, what happened was because of that. He thought he wanted it, she thought it, and then they started quarreling. And that's because they broke the jar with 3 or 4 of them wanted to possess it. You will witness, you will end up really just wanting to be left to witness it, witness it, witness it. And they disturb you, suddenly say, lunch is ready. So really, or never mind, or say, no lunch today. Oh, no lunch? What do you mean? What are you doing? What? No presence.
Shaykh Fadhlalla, if silence is the key to presence, to entering the moment, what is the best technique that you have found, and also Hajj Mustafa you have found, for entering into silence?
I think we have, as human beings, have been so distracted that perhaps the easiest way now is to be in a coma.
That's hardly a practical answer.
The most practical. Hit somebody in the head or whatever. It is the most desirable thing. The most desirable thing I have in my life is not to have too much noise around us. But then there is the inner noise, you see. You have to practice it. So maybe I start by not meeting anybody unless for 1 hour before that meeting they were in true silence. I appoint Shaykh Hajj Mustafa maybe as superintendent of silence. At least 1 hour, you must have some electronic devices to measure the memory at income. 1 hour, no movement. If that's not easy, then nothing will be easy in life. Honestly. We have deviated too much because of the last 200-300 years. More is better. More, acquire, conquer, energy, power, rockets, go up in the air. So as after expenditure of billions or whatever, you come down and say, it was amazing. But what about the digestive system? Isn't that amazing? You just put things in your mouth, you don't know what's happening. All that amazing hundreds of different chemicals are balanced instantaneously. Have you visited your laboratories lately? Do you know how the calibration is?
Allahu Akbar.
Really? Have you asked your kidney for the last week how it is? No. I only want to have the opinion of the others. How many people listen to the YouTube? You stupid. Really? No, it's going to be initially for the very few. The rest is so-called mainstream consumption. And consumption used to mean being sick with tuberculosis. So that's what it's, and on and on and on. Nobody is enjoying the fact that they have very little. They don't want any more. Think I'm all right now. Knowing that if the need is really there, it will be satisfied. Not just by angels coming. You too may have walked to the kitchen. That too is part of it. You're not separate from the whole orchestration. You never know. It's inclusive and magical and also discernible at the same time. Be real. So silence is something you have to practice. You're trying to practice it when you go to sleep. Because now, only recently, sleep is considered as a very, very important quality for quality life, deep sleep. Why not in between practice it like a cat? There's nobody there, switch off. I don't think I would have survived without switching off, because often I am with people who inadvertently they are social and they consider it impolite if they don't jabber. So they all the time ask, how are you? I switch off. And quite often I've been told, you have got immense patience. I don't know what they're talking about. I just switched off. There was no patience. I just left the meeting. How wonderful, without offending anybody. Just switched off. And then if you're genuine, your innate, your soul and spirit will bring you back to a point that is now maybe useful, that you can participate. See? And of course, they all think you were all there, but they were not there themselves. So who's there? There's nobody there. More noise. It's very important at this stage for people who want to awaken to the full reality rather than the conditioned reality, to be with others regularly, connect with others regularly, who are on that path. Is very helpful. Otherwise, you either end up being fantasizing your spiritual elitism. You think you are great until somebody has to put you down. And it's not you have to, for your day-to-day even well-beingness, you need to connect with people. We're beginning to discover the amazing gift of pure life and the amazing gift of conditioned life. That's it.
Subhanallah. Shaykh Fadhlalla, you brought up an amazingly important point here about connecting with people, because, I mean, silence was, of course, practiced in community, in monasteries, you know, amongst the Buddhists and in the Christian tradition. And as we know, there is no monasticism in Islam, although the Sufis had taqiyas and centers where they could practice this. And now we know that these techniques and practices, we just have to do them wherever we are. But do you think that the community or the coming together, the companionship, gives the same reflection and quality online in the virtual world as it does in the actual world when you're in physical time and space gathering together with people? I mean, we have weekly dhikrs every week online, and we all benefit from it tremendously, but are we benefiting less maybe than if we were together in physical presence?
And every day has its own cosmology. I prefer it online because otherwise this personal presence, everybody's wheeling their ego. And, you know, and you didn't know they had a major surgery, 6 months ago. Now you have to commiserate. Oh, really? And you have to listen that the surgeon was fantastic. And that, oh my, what a boring stuff. I would rather meet people online briefly, and it's much easier for me also to switch off. I would rather have this than the physical. What is physical? They're also perspiring people. They have to go to the bathroom with boring stuff. Much better. I really think it's a big gift. It cleansed a lot of here they come, they have to hang their coat, they have to sit. Do you like some water? Do you like to have tea? Yeah, you have to be polite. Actually, I haven't had lunch. Oh, then what is all this rubbish? I think it's much better. May it remain like this. But there is something more on transmission from really awakened beings. But where are they? Who find me one? That's possible. So there is that. And that's just being in the presence. Like Ramana Maharishi, the last 20 odd years, he hardly said anything. And anybody who wanted to be a guru of any significance would have a picture with him. And that's it. They just stood there and he didn't say anything. But there was a picture with Ramana. So that gave them certification. There is something about the presence, because presence of a very high level implies great absence of the lower level. So he's not connected with anything going on. That's it. No, I think nature, which is the agent of God, of Allah, divine reality, brings out exactly what is needed at the time and the way it's needed. It has got that amazing self-organizing, thing. So here it is. You don't need to go physically running here and there. No. Connect, benefit. And you find ultimately the center of the universe was already in you and everywhere else.
Oh.
No place, no space unless the center of the universe is there also.
SubhanAllah. It's been our experience, I think, perhaps the clear and pure, sincere intentions of people gathering in this way is what somehow facilitates a transmission of some sort, perhaps, inshallah. I don't know. Hajj Mustafa.
All of it is Hajj Mustafa's fault. He's not getting out and saying it like this and sing it. Really, he's courteous and reticent. Really. I only hope he will go ranting around like a madman saying it all the time, even though there is nobody. I would say, I knew he was my friend. I knew he would do. Really. This is the sign of somebody who really at least take out your anger on just saying it irrespective. There's nobody there. You say, no, I know there's nobody, there's furniture. You never know. The rest were worse than furniture. They were dead before they have died. Really, they were sleepwalkers. They were dangerous.
Allah.
A time is coming like that, honestly. I tell you. You see, I've caught Hajj Mustafa on a few occasions, almost
I'm trying
like
to
that.
get Hajj Mustafa to come in here and help us finish today's session, because we're now over time. But what does that mean? There is no time. We could stay here forever and just bask in this big. Yeah.
There is time and there is no. Do reassure us, Hajj Mustafa. Go on.
Well, I mean, it really would be discourteous for me to add anything to what we just heard. Shaykh Fadhlalla gave a complete picture of all things. And it's not just from his words, but from his presence. There is no such thing as space and time when you are in that spaceless and timeless reality. So whatever emanates from that is instantly communicated. It's the two particles at the end of the Hadron Collider that when one is activated, the other one responds in perfect mirroring. So we have to let go of that whole idea of space and time. We are nafsin wahida, one self, connected to each other. And when we have the privilege, and please excuse me for, I don't want to embarrass Shaykh Fadhlalla, but when we have the privilege of discovering someone in this world who for you is the perfect mirror for what is within your own heart, it is a big gift. When we come together like this, you are really coming to meet your own self, your own reflective reality within you. So if you resonate with the things that you hear from what you've heard today on this interview, it's because it's already within you, within your own heart. And there's the need for anything else outwardly or so on. Yeah, there's some good reason to get together with like-minded, like-hearted people. There's an enjoyment in that. There's a witnessing, a goodness in that. But ultimately, it is all of this, so to speak, experience is for you, from you, to you, and I am beyond being able to express my gratitude for this moment. Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. A good interview is very good if interview and you exit new. That's the best. Thank you.
It really is an interview.
Thank you. Inshallah, we meet repeatedly. Maybe if you like, you take a few issues and other things, and we'll have fun. We have to enjoy it. Really
I would like to do that. I came with a kind of an idea, but those never seem to work out when we begin. So alhamdulillah, we'll tackle it.
Repeat it anytime you want. Anytime you wish, we enter into that zone of, again, it needs courtesy, which is based on courage and honesty. And you have all of that, inshallah. Thank you, Muna. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. Thank you, Hajj Mustafa, for joining us. Wonderful space above place, a space above place that we can connect in this way. It's a truly a great treasure. And I do not wish to desecrate the specialness of this gathering with any further commentary. So just alhamdulillah wa shukrillah. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you. Thank you.